what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today, doing the breakdown video for the Charlo versus Castano 2, the rematch. Yeah, boy, the rematch, as he said in next Friday. I'm really looking forward to this. This is for the Undisputed Super Welterweight Championship of the World at 154 pounds. These two guys, Charlo, Castano, Charlo's not undefeated, but he's defeated every opponent he's ever faced, as he avenged his only pro defeat to Tony Harrison. Brian Castano is undefeated. These two guys want to become the undisputed champion at 154 pounds, and their moment is here. This is huge right here. By the time of the fight, this will be, I believe, the 7th or 8th undisputed world champion ever crowned in the 4-belt era, and we're getting a lot of those lately. We got that one. You got Kambosos and Haney are going to decide that at lightweight in June, and we're discussing some more showdowns to take place going forward. So big fight right here between Charlo and Castano. Their first fight was a good one. Charlo started off first 2 rounds. He hurt Castano, I believe, in the second round, and it looked like the fight was going to be his. Castano battled back, though, and really swept a lot of the middle rounds. I mean, I had him winning heading into the 9th round. I had him winning 7 rounds to 2. And I had Charlo had to win, had to knock him out to win. Charlo, though, hurt him again in the late rounds, I think in the 10th. And then Charlo took the championship rounds, the 11th and the 12th. I had it 7 rounds to 5 for Castano, but it was a close battle between the two. It was a really good battle between the two. I thought Castano outworked Charlo, but Charlo in those rounds really made an impression. He hurt Castano, and that makes me believe heading into the rematch that it's anybody's ball game. And I'm really looking forward to this fight right here. I really am. Undisputed championship, winner take all, 4 belts home. So, as I normally do with the breakdown videos, I talk about what each fighter has done coming in. We start with the favorite and move to the underdog. Since this is pretty much a 50-50 fight, Charlo is the first name. He's got more belts. We're gonna do him first and then go to Castano. I asked 4 main questions after I talk about what they've done coming into the fight, and then I asked the question, is it better for boxing if one or the other wins? And then I give my final prediction. So let's jump right in, and we start with the unified 2-time super welterweight champion of the world, Jermell Charlo. He's rolling into this fight. He hasn't fought since the first fight with Castano, but he's rolling into this fight highly confident right here. He wants to win. He wants to become the undisputed world champion. He prior to Castano, Charlo really was, making an impression. He had knocked out Jason Rosario to unify 3 of the 4 belts. He took 2 belts off of Rosario, and he has just been supremely confident. Prior to that, he knocked out Tony Harrison in their rematch. So he hasn't been super active in the last 2.5 years, but the fights that he's had, he's made them count. It's been the rematch with Harrison, stopped him, knocked him out to regain the WBC title. Then he went on to collect the WBA and IBF belts with a 8th round knockout of Jason Rosario. And then he had the draw as he tried to collect more the WBO belt from from Brian Castano. So this is big right here, this fight. This is going to be huge. I'm really looking forward to seeing what goes down on Saturday, May 14th, and how Charlo's going to come, and really what kind of game plan. And that's what we got to discuss next. What kind of fight does Charlo need? What kind of style does he need to have to win this fight with Castano. And first off, he needs to be in the best shape of his life. He really does. He really needs to come into this fight with a shitload of stamina and be ready to go the distance in this fight. I mean, there are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's what he needs to do in order to be in this fight. He needs to be ready to let his hands go and win rounds, because I really believe, I'm not going to say he got lucky, but I really believe that if he didn't hurt Castano those couple times and everything and win those last few rounds, then the fight wouldn't even have been close. But he did. And now he needs to figure out how to win more than those rounds, unless he's planning for a knockout, which can happen, but I hope that's not his only plan, because he has to be able to outwork Castano as well. He can't just go out there thinking he's going to knock Castano out, because Castano has a very good chin, and he's proven that, and he proved that against Charlo. So Charlo, if he wants to win this fight, he really needs to figure out how to box Castano, move, and use the angles. You know, he cannot just go in there head hunting thinking he's going to knock Castano out. But that would be huge if he went in there and caught Castano and let him know, like, hey, I'm not, you know, you're not just going to come and dominate the rounds until I hurt you. You know, because that's essentially what happened the last time. You know, Castano was on his way to winning those couple rounds, and Charlo hurt him. And that stalled him. But what if he doesn't hurt Castano as easily? You know, he's going to have to figure out how to win rounds. So his style needs to be using the jab and really pushing Castano back, setting up the power shots, yes, but also using his angles and really being able to move side to side on Castano and just move his feet. That's the key, in my opinion, and what he needs to do in this fight. Now, can Charlo win this fight by knockout? And I think he can. I think Charlo hurt Castano a couple times. I think he has the power to finish this fight. He almost finished him when he hurt him both times back in 2021 last year. So, yeah, I think he can win by knockout. Can Charlo win a decision? Well, he got a draw. I think it's possible for him to win a decision. Again, he just really needs to have the stamina to let his hands go and you know, and win enough rounds to win the fight. But I think he can win a decision. I don't think he can win a dominant decision. I think it's more going to be what do you call it? For me, I think it's more going to be a close, hard-fought, grinded out kind of decision is the kind of decision I think Charlo can get. Now, what does a victory mean for Jermell Charlo? Well, it really legitimizes Charlo, and even though there's a lot of people that have him pound for pound already, it really legitimizes him as an elite fighter, because, I mean, to become undisputed, you have to be on an elite kind of level. You know, I know Josh Taylor's been, you know, taking a lot of shit for his performance against Jack Catterall, but I think that more has to do with him overlooking Catterall than anything. But Jermell Charlo, a win over Brian Castano would be the biggest of his career. It'd be huge for him. He'd be an undisputed world champion, and that's something you can't take away from a fighter. So it would be very big if Charlo beats Castano in this fight and becomes undisputed champion. What does a loss mean for Charlo? And it would hurt Charlo, obviously. Depending on how he loses as well. I mean, if he goes out there and loses a tough decision in a close fight, it's not going to hurt him that bad. You know, but if he goes out there and gets his ass whipped, then, you know, there's going to be the detractors, the people that say he's not as good as we thought. So, you know, a loss is definitely going to hurt him. Now we switch over to the undefeated WBO super welterweight champ, Brian Castano, and we look at what he's done rolling into this fight. Well, you know, he had the draw with Charlo last year. That was his last fight. A fight, again, I thought he won. I felt he won a close decision. He should have. I had it 7 rounds to 5, but that's only a 1-round difference from being a draw. So, you know, it was close. He did get hurt a couple times, but he also, I felt he stunned Charlo a couple times and looked good in that one. Prior to that fight, he dominated Patrick Teixeira in a fight that a lot of people thought was going to be a barn burner. It was all action, but it was pretty much, you know, him dominating most of the fight and capturing the WBO belt. So, you know, Brian Castano has kept himself busy the last couple of years. He also had that great performance against Erislandy Lara that put him on the map right there. When everybody thought Lara was just going to go in there and dominate him after Lara and Hurd had fought that fantastic fight. Lara, 11 months later, came out and fought to a draw with Castano. So Castano is a guy who's been in the ring with some good fighters the last few years, and he's really, really hungry and wants to become the undisputed world champion. So this is big. This is big for him coming in. So now, you know, what kind of style does Castano need to have to beat Jermell Charlo? And I really think it's very similar to the fight that he had with him the first time. I think he needs to really cut the ring off. Instead of coming straight in, maybe try to attack from the angles. Use the side. Step to the side, attack from there. Step to the other side, attack from there. But definitely cut the ring off. But he needs to work on his defense. He cannot get caught with one of those clean counter power shots of Charlo, or you never know, he could get knocked out. But I really believe Charlo's going to get his work rate up and be moving more. So Castano needs to focus on the body big time. Wear that body down of Charlo. Get him stationary. Unload on him when he can. But wear him down. Take him into the deep rounds and stop him maybe. Or take the fight over and completely take it over. He definitely does not need to allow Charlo to get that second wind heading into the championship rounds, because if he wins those championship rounds, he wins it clean, unanimous decision in the first fight. He needs to try to secure that in the rematch. We'll see. Can Brian Castano win by knockout? Brian Castano is not a big power puncher. I think he can win by knockout. I just think it's more going to come from an accumulation and a wear down of Jermell Charlo. It's not going to be one punch. I think he's going to have to wear down Charlo to stop him, but I do think he can stop Jermell Charlo. Can Brian Castano win a decision? I thought he won the first time. I absolutely think he can win a decision from Charlo. It's going to be, you know, I think he can win a wide decision if he can play better defense and not get hurt. I absolutely think he could take a one-sided decision from Charlo, but I think it's more going to be a competitive fight again. If it goes to the scorecards, if he wins, I see more like a, you know, 115, 113, 116, 112 type performance. Maybe the best he could do would be 117, 111, which is 9-3. So we'll see. I mean, it's going to be an interesting one, but yeah, he can win a decision. What does a win mean for Brian Castano? It means everything to him. I mean, a win would be the biggest of his career. He becomes undisputed champion, and he basically is set for life after that. I mean, to become an undisputed champion, guys are going to be lining up to fight him, and just to hold that distinction, he's always going to have people wanting to fight him. He doesn't have the name that Charlo has, so that's why it's even bigger for him to secure a win over Charlo and become the undisputed champion, because then he gains that notoriety and becomes that name that Charlo is right now. So a win for Brian Castano would mean everything, be the biggest of his career. What does a loss mean for Castano? You know, it depends on how he loses. The fact that he's in a rematch is huge for Castano. That means he fought his ass off the first time. That means he's a serious threat. So he's going to stay a serious threat, win or lose. But a loss, depending on how he loses, would be devastating to him. It'd be the first of his career. If he gets knocked out and decisively beaten by a one-sided decision or knocked out, people are going to say he's not as good and that Charlo overlooked him maybe the first fight. But if he goes out there and he loses a close fight after their first fight was close, then, you know, it's not gonna hurt him as bad, and he's definitely gonna be able to secure you know, big fights moving forward. So a loss, as long as he doesn't get his ass whipped, is not gonna hurt him too bad. But of course, it'd be the first of his career, so it's gonna suck for him either way if he loses his first fight. Now, we've done both fighters. Now we ask, is it better for boxing if Jermell Charlo wins this fight, or is it better for boxing if Brian Castano wins this fight? Tough question to answer. I personally think because Charlo is the more known name, but also the hype that him and his brother have as being twin world champions, I think it's better for boxing if Charlo wins this fight. I do. It's going to gain more notoriety. It's a better story. But it's not going to be bad for boxing if Castano comes and if he comes out and becomes the undisputed super welterweight champion. He's going to be able to really take over and become a name with a victory. So, yeah, it's better for boxing if Charlo wins, but it's not going to be terrible if Castano wins. And now, finally, my prediction. Who is going to be the undisputed super welterweight champion of the world on March 14th in the rematch between Castano and Charlo? Well, I'm sticking with my original pick from the first fight. Brian Castano, I picked him to win the first fight. Stylistically, I think he's going to win the second fight. But I think it's as close to 50-50 as you can get. The way Castano took the fight over and outworked Charlo, I was not surprised at all. I wasn't even so surprised that Charlo hurt Castano. What surprised me was Charlo being able to fight the way he did in the championship rounds. So that just shows me that both guys got to make adjustments. Charlo's got to work more on his stamina to be able to go another 12 hard rounds and possibly win more rounds. And Castano has to work on defense a little bit better. But if Castano does that, again, I'll say this. I had it 7 rounds to 5. If Charlo does not hurt Castano in those 2 rounds, Castano probably wins those 2 rounds. So we're looking at a 117-111 type fight. So I'm going to call the middle. I'm going to say, because of the adjustments, I'm going to say Castano's going to win a close, hard-fought decision, but I think it's going to be a little more convincing this time. I think he's going to play better defense and not get caught. But that's just what I'm thinking. That doesn't mean that that's going to hold true. Charlo might come out hungrier and win this one as he did against Tony Harrison. Maybe he was overlooking Castano, thought he was going to score a knockout. Maybe he's being a little arrogant to think he's going to knock Castano out in a rematch. We will not know until fight night, but I can't wait to see it. It's going to be good. But I'm picking Brian Castano by a hard-fought decision in the rematch, and he will be our next undisputed champion. But again, I will not be surprised in any way, shape, or form if Jermell Charlo wins this fight and becomes the undisputed champ. So, Saturday, May 14th, Showtime, main event, Charlo versus Castano 2, the breakdown. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, smash the like button, send me a comment, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate all you and any support that you give. This is True Boxing. You've been here with the truth.